In just 2 days, I learned how to hack Wi-Fi networks, steal passwords, grab banking credentials, and essentially intercept all web traffic. All it took was a laptop, a virtual machine running Kali Linux, a few hours of time, and quite a bit of reading. In this video, I'm going to share with you how I did that, the common ways that hackers steal your information, and how you can protect yourself from these types of attacks. Disclaimer, this is extremely illegal. Do not do this, and if you are going to do it, actually do it at home. Don't do it outside of your local network. So let's get started with a bit of background on how Wi-Fi networks work. When you connect to Wi-Fi, your device and router start a high-tech conversation. Your device sends a request to join the network, and the router assigns it a unique IP address. To visit a website, your device sends a request in the form of encoded data packets to the router. These packets are passed to the modem, converted for transmission over your broadband, and sent across the internet to the website server. These servers respond by sending the website data back along the same path, through the modem, router, and finally back to your device. Now, to keep all of this data secure, your device uses something known as encryption. This process involves a pair of keys, one public key, one private key. Your device uses the recipient's public key to scramble the information into a code. This turns your readable data into a jumbled mess, meaning that if a hacker intercepts your data, all they're going to see is a bunch of gibberish that they can't understand. On the other end, the recipient has the private key. They use this private key to decrypt or unscramble the code and read the information. This two-key system is what's known as public key infrastructure, or PKI, and it's at the heart of secure protocols like HTTPS and WPA3. What's more, the private key is never shared or transmitted over the internet, making it extremely difficult for the intruders to break the code. So as your data travels from device to server, it's like it's inside of a secure, locked box that only the recipient has the key to open. Now, with all that said, hackers can still steal and access your data even if it's encrypted. And I'm going to walk you through the two common ways that they do that right now. Keep in mind this is for educational purposes only, and there are plenty of ways to protect yourself, like by using a VPN or by using this device right here, which is called the Deeper Connect Air from Deeper Connect, who sponsored this video. Now, this little device right here actually goes a step beyond a VPN and provides a DPN, or a decentralized private network. This connects you to a distributed, decentralized set of nodes, which give you an extra level of security and provide a ton of other features that we'll dive into later in this video. So now, let's talk about sniffing, which is the first method hackers use to access your information. A packet sniffer is a software or hardware tool that can intercept and log traffic passing over a network. With every website you visit, every picture you upload, every word you send, the packet sniffer is watching, collecting, and deciphering this data. It can do this by intercepting radio waves sent between your device and the router. Even when you think your data is safe, masked by encryption, it might not be entirely out of reach. A seasoned hacker can pick up bits of unencrypted data called metadata. This metadata might reveal what websites you're visiting, how often you go there, and how much data you're passing back and forth. In skilled hands, a packet sniffer can even exploit vulnerabilities in network security to decrypt data or inject malicious packets, turning your own digital devices against you. Now, Wi-Fi sniffing tools are easily available, and they can turn public networks into a risky environment. Fortunately, strong encryption protocols can mitigate your risk, but even so, it's not recommended to transmit any sensitive data like banking information or passwords when you're using a public network and you're unprotected. Now, diving into a bit more of an advanced method, this is the man-in-the-middle attack. So packet sniffing is really more of a beginner type attack. Anyone can do this. You guys can probably figure it out in just a few hours. The man-in-the-middle is a bit more complicated, but potentially a lot more harmful. During a man-in-the-middle attack, the hacker manipulates the communication process. They exploit vulnerabilities in the Wi-Fi security protocols, and they trick your device into thinking that they're the router. This way, they control the data flow, capturing everything you transmit, emails, passwords, credit cards, whatever it is. Now, don't think that encrypted data is safe here either. Through sophisticated techniques like SSL stripping, the hacker can actually force your device to downgrade its secure HTTPS connection to something like an HTTP connection, making the encrypted messages readable using the less secure protocol. They can even leverage a rogue certificate, fooling your device into believing they are a trusted entity. This way, your device willingly hands over data, thinking it's securely encrypted, when in fact it's accessible and readable for the hacker. These attacks are much more complicated to pull off with a lot more knowledge required, but can result in a ton of danger, again, if you're using some kind of network unprotected. Now, after learning all of this myself and being someone who's pretty technical, I decided I'd give this a shot and see if I could actually perform some type of very simple hacking attack on my local network. Now, to my surprise, by day 2, I was actually able to successfully do this and intercept all of the HTTP and HTTPS traffic from one of my local laptops. Now, I'm going to share with you, in the name of education, some of the basic steps that I used here to actually perform this hacking attack, but I want to make it very clear that this is extremely illegal. I'm not giving you enough information here to replicate this. I'm just giving you enough that you have some sense of what goes on behind the scenes and how simple it can actually be for someone to go set up at a coffee shop and start stealing your information, again, if you're unprotected on some type of public Wi-Fi network. So how did I do this? Well, the first thing I did is I installed a virtual machine on my computer and I ran an instance of Kali Linux. Now, if you're not familiar with Kali, this is a very popular operating system that has a ton of network utilities built in and is known for doing some type of hacking attacks and just kind of being a hacker OS. I know it's a weird thing, but Kali Linux has that reputation. Now, from there, I just searched a bunch of stuff on Google, read a bunch of articles. Surprisingly, it wasn't that difficult to actually find how to perform this. And the first thing I did is I configured my computer to act as a router network. What this means is that I would be able to reroute data from my computer to the router, and essentially was preparing myself to kind of sit in the middle of a machine and the router and perform a man-in-the-middle attack. From there, I did a network scan where I identified the local IP address of the target device. In this case was my laptop, and you'd be surprised that the tools that they have here actually allow you to view the device type, make, model, and a bunch of other information. So it was very easy for me to actually find the local IP address of the machine that I wanted to target. From there, what I did is something called ARP spoofing or ARP spoofing. Now, without getting into too much detail, this essentially tells the target device that my IP address is the IP address of the router, meaning it's going to send all of its traffic to me first, where I then forward it to the router and send information back. That way, it doesn't know that it's being targeted, but I'm able to intercept all of the different traffic. At this point, I'm able to view all of the payload data for HTTP and HTTPS traffic. Anything that's insecure, I can just read. It's unencrypted, I can read all of that data. However, encrypted data like HTTPS traffic is still encrypted and I can't read it. So to be able to do that, I actually needed to perform an SSL strip. This means that I'm pretty much tricking the target machine into using HTTP rather than HTTPS, so I'm able to actually view the unencrypted data. Now, eventually, after a ton of trial and error and messing with a bunch of different commands, I was actually able to successfully do this and to read the different password data when I was signing into what seemed like a secure form from my local laptop. I'm not going to give you any more information than that. What I want to do now is tell you how you can defend yourself from these types of attacks. Now, the good news here is that it's relatively simple to protect yourself from these types of attacks or to make it much more difficult for hackers to gain your information. Now, the simplest way to do this is to use a VPN. Now, a virtual private network establishes a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and a remote server, allowing data to be transmitted more securely. Now, this isn't going to stop every single type of attack, but it's going to make it a lot more difficult for someone to read your data if they are actually able to intercept it. Now, beyond that, what a VPN will do is provide security and privacy by actually concealing your location and allowing you to connect first to some type of VPN server and then to the website that you're trying to access. It gets a lot more complicated than that, but typically by using a VPN, you can conceal your location and have a lot more privacy online. Now, regular VPNs work just fine, but I want to introduce you to this really interesting hardware device here called the Deeper Connect Air. Now, up until doing this sponsorship, I have never heard of this device, if it will focus in my camera here, but this actually connects with USB-C to your computer, laptop, whatever it may be. It also has a USB dongle, and this is a physical device that provides a decentralized private network. Now, there's no subscription. Once you buy it, you have access to it for life. You can put it in any type of device, and you can even transmit a network that other devices can connect to. Now, since this is a hardware device, that means you actually get a bunch of customizations and additional features that you don't get from standard VPN networks. So, for example, you automatically get YouTube ad block. You get geolocation spoofing. You get the ability to actually unblock pretty much any type of content and have that automatically done for you, so you don't have to manually change your server every time you go to a different site, streaming website, whatever it may be. Now, full disclosure here, they have sponsored the video, but this is actually a really unique product, and when I plugged it in, it worked instantly. It was pretty well plug and play. There was like 2 or 3 little setup steps that took pretty much 30 seconds to get through. And now I can just use this on any device that I want. I can bring it with me anywhere, and I never need to pay for a subscription again. Now, beyond just the economics of this, since it is a decentralized network, this means you do actually get enhanced security benefits. Now, I'm not sure how important this is to all of you, but I'll just quickly describe what's meant by a decentralized private network. So think of this similar to a blockchain network, where you have a bunch of different nodes that are running around the world that are owned independently. I mean, they could be owned by a company, but not one company controls all of the individual nodes. And when you connect to this decentralized private network, you're connecting to a bunch of different nodes that are running around the world. Now, the more people that connect to this, the more nodes that exist and the faster the network gets. So as it gets bigger and bigger, it actually gets more performant and more efficient to run. Now, this is in contrast to a regular VPN, where let's say you use some popular VPN company, right? What's going to happen is you're connecting to their servers, which are owned by them, controlled by them. And that means theoretically behind the scenes, if they want to, they can apply censorship, they can view your different data. They have access to all of it on the servers that you're connecting to. So you're really trusting this third party or this company to keep all of your data safe. And we've seen in the past that whenever we trust one large corporation, there can be some problems that occur with that. I won't get into that too far in this video. So anyways, this is fully decentralized. I like all of the decentralized stuff. I am a believer in that going forward, hence why I'm sharing it with you here. Now, just so you can see how this thing works, I'm going to plug it into my computer right now, and I'll show you how simple the setup is. Alright, so I'm on my computer now, I've got the device plugged in, and I'll just quickly walk you through a bit of the setup and show you kind of the panel and all the configuration options you get. So you can actually connect this in 2 ways. The first way is the Wi-Fi dongle mode, which is what I'm using right now, where you just plug it into the computer. And the second way is wireless relay mode, where this creates a network that you can connect to from your phone, from any other device, where maybe you can't actually plug this thing in. Okay, so those are the 2 modes. We're running in Wi-Fi dongle mode. And all you do is plug the thing in, wait for the light to change to the right color, and then you go to this IP address here, you sign in, and then you just scan for your network, connect to your network. It connects from that physical hardware device. Think of it as another like network interface card. And then you can simply start using it, right? So I'll show you. If I go to this IP address here, I'm connected to it. Notice in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen, it says Internet Access Network 11. But I don't have Wi-Fi on, and I don't have any Ethernet cable plugged in, so it is running off of this device. And then if we come here, you can view information about the memory, CPU usage, all of the ads that it's blocking. So it blocks ads on websites like YouTube, which is super useful. And then if you go to something like the app relocator, you can actually change your server for a bunch of different apps. Meaning when I connect to Netflix, it can automatically connect me to a US server. When I connect to Disney Plus, maybe it connects me to an Asian server. I can change so that way it automatically happens for me every time I go to those sites. I don't have to manually change the network, which is really nice, or the server, sorry. So actually, to show you a quick use case of this, I've just unplugged the device, and you can see that now I'm on Peacock TV, and I'm unable to access this site. If I click on Get Started or Sign In, you see it just keeps bringing me to this page because I'm located in Canada, and in Canada, you can't access this streaming service. So now what I'll do is plug the device back in, change my location, and show you that this will now work for me. Alright, so I've plugged the device back in now, and what I'm going to do is go over to the app relocator, and notice here that now Peacock is on United States rather than Canada. So what I can do now is go back to Peacock TV, so let's search for that here, click on it, and you'll see that now we can actually access this. Now I don't have a subscription, but notice I'm not getting that unavailable page, because now it's looking like I'm in the United States. In terms of things like music, we have access to these different apps, flight and hotel, subscription. And why this is cool is because a lot of companies do price discrimination, meaning I can actually connect out of somewhere like India, and I can buy subscriptions at like 1/5 the cost they would normally cost me in Canada. So super cool. A lot of other settings here. I'm not going to go through all of it, but we have things like an ad blocker. You can get more complicated here with DNS filters, HTTPS filters. Anyways, you guys can mess around with this on your own if you do decide to get the product. But just to prove this is working, I can type something like yo, it's going to pop up, it's functioning, it's actually super fast. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had to show you. So with that said, I think I'm going to start wrapping it up here. If you are interested in this product, there will be a link in the description. I know that this was a sponsored video, but this is a really interesting product that I've been using ever since I got it. Super fast, super impressed by it, and definitely something I'm going to continue to use. I hope this video gave you guys a good amount of value. If it did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.